5:30 a.m. We've arrived at Denver International. Are they going to take our longboards? We'll know more in a few minutes. Well, we have our answer. You cannot take surfboards on a Southwest flight. It looks like the maximum they're telling me is 80 inches. So that's shorter than United. That's shorter than American. I wish it would have said that specifically on the website. I looked pretty good for that, and no luck. So here's what ended up happening. I got to the airport and I tried to check in with the Sky Cap, and the Sky Cap said, "Bring your boards over here." And so I thought, hey, that's a good sign. And I asked him, "Do you check in for international flights?" He said, "No, just take them inside. They'll take care of you." And then when I walked inside, I saw the area for large items, and I stuck the surfboards in the large item area, and the person that was standing there from Southwest said, "Just go ahead and check in normally. I'll keep your surfboards here, and as soon as you get tags, we'll just tag them." Again, I'm thinking, this is great. It looks good. So I went to the kiosk and checked in for the flight, and I bought the sports equipment tag for $75 each, $150. And then and as I was taking the tags back to the surfboards, I was approached by two people from Southwest and said, "You can't take those on a flight. They're too big." Keep in mind, this was at 5:30 in the morning, so maybe I wasn't prepared or wasn't at my best, but I was like, your website says I can. And they said, no, it's got to be 80 linear inches or less. Well, if you do the math on 80 linear inches, which is length times width times height, length plus width plus height, you'd have the largest surfboard that can go on Southwest is about a 5-foot 5-inch surfboard. Now, they're out there, but not a lot of people are surfing 5-foot 5-inch surfboards. So they told me I could ship it via cargo, but that would take a business account with 2 weeks to set up. So here I am back at home, 6:30, was not able to go to Costa Rica. We're looking at plan Bs now. I'm surprised because I looked at the Southwest website again this morning, and it basically calls out surfboards and says you can take a surfboard. And does not mention 80 linear inches. It just says you can fly with a surfboard. It has some caveats around Hawaiian airline or Hawaiian travel, but I'm not going to Hawaii. So that's the long and short of it. Southwest did not let me take an 8-foot board on the flight to Costa Rica. Okay, back with an update. It is now about 9:30 in the morning. Again, I'm back from the airport. I was not able to fly with my surfboards on Southwest. But that leaves me with the challenge that I had originally, which is I would want to test these surfboards. So I went ahead and booked another flight for tomorrow, and this one is through American Airlines. The surfboard policy for American Airlines is a little bit different and actually far more specific, in my view, than Southwest policy. So it says I can travel with a surfboard on American Airlines as long as the linear dimensions, length plus width plus height, is 126 inches or less. And that's what I have. I have an 8-foot board. If you do the math on that, an 8-foot board is just under 126 linear inches, depending, of course, on the width and things like that. But mine is 125 linear inches. I'm actually taking it in the box that it ships with and measuring that box. I'm quite certain it is under 126 inches. So everything should be fine. Now, if I were to, there's a connection, though, with American Airlines. So I have to connect, and, of course, that connection worries me that the board will get off the plane and onto another plane, and the additional handling, and that damage the board. And look, it's not perfect, but that's what I'm going to do. Another kind of not perfect is it's an 8-foot board. Now, the longer the board for me, the better. I'm not that good of a surfer, so I was really hoping to get the 9-footer to come with me. But I'll try the 8-foot, and hopefully I'll be able to ride some waves on the 8-footer. If I'm going to steelman Southwest position this morning, I was ill prepared. So I should have had Southwest's policy for surfboards on my phone when I walked in. I did not have it on my phone when I walked in, and I blame myself for that. I guess it was 6 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning, and I guess I hadn't started thinking yet. So something tells me that would have helped if I was able to pull up their own surfboard policy. And maybe also they don't see a lot of surfboards shipping out of Denver. That seems odd. But if I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, I think you can ship surfboards on Southwest. I don't know what happened this morning.
Take a picture.
It's 3 a.m. We're again here at Denver International Sunday morning trying to get our 8-foot surfboard onto the plane so we can head to Costa Rica. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, we made it through security. They took the surfboard, they measured it to make sure it was under 126 inches. It cost $30, but at least for now, they took it and we're through. We're heading to our gate. Stand by. It's 4:25 a.m. We're hanging out at the gate. Should be boarding here momentarily. We're going from Denver to Dallas and then on to Costa Rica. We made it to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. We're awaiting a flight going from Dallas to Costa Rica. Looks like right now it's delayed, not by too long, maybe an hour or something like that. So hopefully the surfboard will make it from the one flight to the other. The little extra time might help, so I'm optimistic. Okay, the surfboard made it. We are in Costa Rica. We're in Tamarindo. We're going to stay here a couple days and test out the board, make sure everything looks good. So we're staying at the Coast Beachfront here in Tamarindo. So we're excited to be here. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's been a long day. We're looking forward to sitting down. Okay, there's world famous Tamarindo Beach. Let's go surf it. Okay, it's Sunday evening. The sun is setting behind me, and I can say that I caught the first waves ever on a Surfboards.com surfboard, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what the team has done. No kidding, I was out there for half an hour. I don't know, my wife and I are hungry, and I caught every wave that I tried to get. Now this is Tamarindo. It's super nice, it's easy, it's timid, and all that stuff, but I thought I would have a problem catching waves. Now I had problems staying up on the board, but catching waves, the board glided perfectly, and wow, what a nice evening. Worth the effort so far. It's about 6 a.m., a little past 6 a.m. Tamarindo, Costa Rica. I see one surfer out there right now. I'll probably wait before I go out there. Couple nice little breaks. Just doing a quick inspection of the board this morning. I didn't ride for very long yesterday, but everything looks fine, which is what you'd expect. Okay, I went out twice this morning, one about 6:30, one about 8 o'clock, and boy, the board was great. Nothing really to report. I caught almost every wave I chased. I pearled a couple times. My problem right now is actually standing up for any long period of time, my front foot is not getting onto the board where I want it to get on. Maybe it's because I'm not flexible enough, but I'm working on that, and I figured something out towards the end at about 8:30 and had some nice rides. So hopefully I'll improve on that. I guess like everything, it just takes practice. This is more the northern side of Tamarindo. It seems like it's busier here, and the waves might be bigger. I'm not sure. Or maybe I just saw a bigger set come in. But we're staying more towards the southern side. We went for a walk around Tamarindo. It's beautiful. The tide has gone out even further. Not sure if you can see that, but not sure if you can surf it. There's some out there, but you know, when you fall, you're falling in 6 inches of water. Now, they're not bad wipeouts, but still. And you're worried about the fins on, I'm worried about the fins on my surfboard too, that I'm just gonna shear them off. So it's about noon on Monday. So the tide will start coming back up here shortly. Okay, it's about 5 p.m. Tamarindo. I just surfed for about an hour. I may have caught more waves in that hour than I've caught in well, certainly in a long time, but maybe ever for an hour. Now, they're small waves, and they're slow waves, and they're easy to catch, but I caught them all on a Surfboards.com 8-foot ahi longboard, and I'm really excited about that.
Working hard.
All right, I was out from about 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. The waves were bigger and faster, and I was having trouble catching them. I was hoping that wasn't because my board is waterlogged, because I don't think it is. I think it's more that I was just tired and I didn't know exactly where they were breaking, and they were harder waves to catch. I did catch quite a few. After about a half an hour, I kind of started to figure out where they were breaking, so that was fun. I'm still working on my standing up. When I pop up, my feet are not where I want them to be consistently, and so I'm gonna head back out now and just had a little bit of breakfast, head back out now and work on my popping up and my feet position. It's 3:30 on Tuesday. The tide is starting to come back up, but there's still not much to surf, and it is pouring out. I mean, pouring, torrential rain. So we'll wait and see what it looks like in an hour. I think I saw that the tide charts said it was a difference of 9 feet today. So I know that that wall behind me, the water comes up to that wall, and then by contrast, you know, that's where it is now. It's coming up already, but it doesn't feel like 9 feet. Maybe it's 4 feet. If someone told me 5 feet, I'd believe it, but what do I know? Kind of a cool thing about walking out to the water is the sand. There's a combination of dark sand and light sand, and it makes these beautiful geometric patterns. Look at all that. See that? Yeah. So I'm walking out towards the beach break. And this is Tamarindo. That's the coast where we're staying. All the way, it wraps around. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm at the edge. Again, the tide's coming up, and I wonder if it's surfable. Obviously, I can see that it's tiny waves, but I just want to know if it's surfable. I guess I can just take my board out and figure that out. Definitely tiny, but some surf is better than no surf. And then here's another perspective of low tide in Tamarindo. Wednesday morning, I went out from about 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. There's really nobody else out there, which is fun, but it's also a little worrisome. Like, do they know something I don't? Is this the crocodile feeding time? But waves were generally small, and I'm still having a tough time getting my front foot where it needs to be on the surfboard. So I keep practicing, and some rides are way better than others. I think it's just a general, just being tight. I'm very tight, and especially in the hips and legs. So the more I stretch and the more I practice, I think I'll get better. But I'm a long way from good, unfortunately. All right, I'm gonna eat some breakfast and head back out. Okay, it's about 9:30. I surf from about 8:30 to 9:30. So it's pretty consistent. So since about 6 o'clock this morning, and I am wiped out. But that was probably the best hour of surfing I've had in Costa Rica. So maybe I'm getting better. For the old folks, or maybe the new people, or the tight people like me, I was having problems getting my feet where I wanted them on the board. And I think it's just because I'm just super tight. My hips are tight, my hamstrings are tight, everything's tight. My wife told me to do a happy baby stretch. I don't know what that was until I didn't know what that was until she showed me. Apparently it's a yoga pose. And I did that before going in the water and did it between waves. And I stood up the best I've stood up all week. So is it a coincidence? I don't know. But if you're struggling to get your feet placed and you're old and tight, you might want to try the happy baby stretch. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll see lots of pretty people doing the happy baby stretch. It's almost noon here in Tamarindo on Wednesday, and sun's out, and this is probably the most turquoise I've seen the water. I noticed the water was very clear this morning, probably the most clear it has been too, so it looks really beautiful. I can see why people like this place. I'm thinking about future deck colors for Surfboards.com boards. My wife made the comment that it'd be nice to have a deck color that was a little bit unique so that people on shore can tell who's who out there, or can see you easily. There is a ton of blues, of course whites like ours. So I don't know. You know what you don't see a lot of is pinks. We should maybe do a pink line. There's a lot of people I think that would appreciate a nice pink. Tough to say. Last night in Tamarindo, the tide is still out. It's supposed to come in about 9 p.m. I will not be surfing at about 9 p.m. I will be sleeping at 9 p.m. It's been a great trip. I will be very anxious to see what the surf is like tomorrow morning and see if I can surf any better tomorrow morning. I think a nice 24-hour rest, or whatever it is, 22-hour rest, will be great. Signing off till tomorrow morning. It's Thursday morning. We're leaving this morning about 11 a.m. Right now it's a little bit before 6 a.m. The tide is out right now, or it's on its way up. High tide's at about 9 a.m., maybe a little later than that, 9:30, something like that. So I'll probably eat breakfast around 7, wait for the tide to come up a little bit more, and then try to do my best to surf from about 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., pack, and head to the airport. It's a beautiful morning here in Tamarindo. Thanks for sharing it with me. The tide was coming up, so I went out to do some surfing. I was out at about 7:30 after breakfast. I came in about 8:30. When I first started this morning, it was like I didn't know how to surf at all anymore, and that was kind of disappointing. And so I just took a deep breath and realized I was probably catching the waves a little too late, for me anyway. So I went a little further out and gave myself a few more paddle strokes to get into the wave nice and early, and that seemed to help. So I was able to ride lots of waves and have lots of fun, and actually ride them for quite a ways this morning, just the way the waves were breaking. And then towards the end of the hour, the wind started to shift a little bit, and so I got kind of confused and started doing poorly again. So I caught one more and rode it in and taking a quick break. I'll be back out there in another 10 minutes or so. Surf till maybe 10 o'clock, and then we're leaving this morning. Well, that was my last surf session in Tamarindo for now. I spent about another hour out there. It was starting to get pretty crowded. I did okay, which is to say I did way, way better than the first day, but not quite as good as maybe last night or even early this morning. So the wind came up, waves kind of shifted a little bit, and I wasn't sure exactly what to do. The board held up great. I'll do sort of a trip summary. Maybe I'll do several trip summaries as thoughts occur to me, but we're gonna shower up, pack up, start heading for Liberia, the airport. The surfboard held up wonderfully. Even the logo on the bottom I thought would come off in the first couple hours of surfing, and it doesn't look like it. Looks brand new. Fins are okay. Perfect. I talked earlier about making sure these bolts are tight. See, that one's just a tiny bit loose. Starting to get rubbed from the leash. Maybe the slightest bit of pressure dang. So this is probably after 8 hours of surfing over the course of 3 full days, 2 half days. Logo still looks good. Let's try it like that. I'm super happy with the board. I think our customers are going to really love it. More random thoughts. I used to surf quite a bit when I lived in Hawaii. That was when I was about 22 years old. I can't say I was a good surfer, but I certainly was out in the water a lot. Now it's 30 years later. I'm just over 50 years old, and I've surfed a few times over the course of that 30 years, but not very much. So am I a beginning surfer? Yeah, probably close to a beginner surfer. About 190 pounds, though I'm planning on losing some of that. And I use the 8-foot ahi board. And could I have surfed better on the 9-foot board? Probably. I don't know if I would have caught more waves necessarily, but I think I would have ridden more waves, just because with the bigger board, the platform is a little bit more stable. United takes up to 115 linear inches, so that would have meant I could have taken a 7-foot board on United. An 8-foot board on American is what we flew. I don't think I could have done very well on a 7-foot board. Maybe I would have caught, maybe I could have paddled into some waves, but I don't think I would have caught waves. I mean, overall, I probably caught more than half the waves that I attempted to paddle into. And then of those, I probably stood up for any length of time maybe a third of those. And it would come in waves. I would catch a wave, stand up, my feet are correct, everything looks good. And it would be like that for 3 or 4 waves in a row. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't stand up to save my life. So leaving here after 4 days, I am no question a better surfer. I'm still a long way from being a good surfer. In terms of, never forget, it's like riding a bike. I would say maybe catching a wave, like paddling into the wave, is something you don't forget. I feel like I did a pretty good job of that. But actually standing up and balancing on a surfboard, maybe I was just never a good quote unquote bike rider to begin with, but it was challenging, very challenging. So I'm better leaving, no question. I'm a long way from good. I had a great time. My body is incredibly sore, beyond sore. Shoulders, knees, rashes here and there. I got to incorporate some stretching if this is something I want to do a lot in the future. All in all, what a great place, Tamarindo. I would recommend it to anybody. Even my wife, who's not a surfer, is like, this place is fantastic. So I guess it depends upon what you're looking for, but we sure had a good few days here. More to follow. Here's more on the Surfboards.com soft top surfboard. Again, I was riding the 8-foot Ahi. I'm about 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. I probably would have done better with the 9-footer. I would not have gone to the 7-footer. It is the board I wish I had when I first started surfing in Hawaii. So as a beginner surfer, I got a hand-me-down board because I couldn't afford a board. 22 years old, I didn't have any money, couldn't afford a new board. So I got a hand-me-down board, and it ended up being it was kind of like a gun. It was very narrow, very thin, very short. And I think I spent the first year trying to catch waves, and I couldn't get it done. Like, I probably tried surfing for a full year before I caught a wave, let alone stand up on a wave. Now, if I was able to get a big soft top surfboard for $300 or $400, oh boy, that would have been fantastic. It would have been the perfect board for me as a beginner. I would have saved myself a whole year of struggling to stand up or catch a wave on a surfboard. Eventually I bought a 9-foot 2-inch Takayama, I think. I was saying I bought a 9-foot 2-inch Takayama, and it was a typical fiberglass board. It cost way more than I could afford, but I finally was able to start catching waves and occasionally standing up on a wave. And so that's what I used for the last 3 or 4 years that I was in Hawaii. I love that board. The problem with the fiberglass board is it ended up getting pretty destroyed by me because I was a beginner surfer, by others running into it because I was surfing at beginner surf breaks. Think of Waikiki. That board is going to get smashed. And so the soft top, is a little more durable. It's not glass. So again, if I had to do it all over again, this 8 or 9 foot soft top board from Surfboards.com, the Ahi or the Mahi Mahi, the 8-foot or the 9-foot board, would have been perfect for me. And I'm so glad to offer the market something that would have been perfect for me. Save yourself a year of headache and get yourself a economical soft top surfboard like we have at Surfboards.com. Now, if you get great at surfing, you're not going to win any competitions on our surfboards. It's not a performance surfboard, so to speak. It's a beater board or a beginner board or an intermediate board, but it's not, you're not going to see pros riding this board, but that's okay. Are you a pro? I know I'm not a pro. So it was cost effective. It's durable. It floats great. It looks good. I'm just super thrilled about how the surfboard held up. So Thanks to our partners at Blue Bay, Ningbo, China for making them. We're gonna come back for more. It held up great. The only thing I would change about this board is that they put the custom bottom graphic on without masking. So you can see where they scraped it on. And so when you look carefully, you see scrapes on the bottom of the surfboard. And you take 5 steps back and you can't see it. All you see is a beautiful custom graphic. But if you get up close, you're like, man, this is a brand new surfboard and it looks scratched. It does look scratched. That is not going to affect your surfing, I can guarantee you. If you're gonna mount it on a wall, it's still a beautiful board. That graphic is very unique. We got 2 camos and then 2 different hibiscus colors. We got a couple more in the pipeline. Some palm tree patterns and the like, some tribal patterns. So I just love the graphic, but it came without the ability to mask it off, so it does have scratches in the bottom of it. And again, super thrilled with the board. I am super thrilled with the board. The surfboard leash with Surfboards.com surfboard leash, like, you're not gonna find a better leash at that price point. It was great. Like, I'm not surfing double overhead waves, so if you're surfing some very gnarly stuff, I can't tell you whether it'll hold. I assume it will, but a nice small, waist high surf, maybe it was chest high at times, it held up just fine. So I think you'd love that board, the surfboard leash too. I'm over the moon about it. I'm so glad we came to Costa Rica, my wife and I, to check out these boards. We just got them in the warehouse 10 days ago, maybe today is 2 weeks. So we got them in 2 weeks ago, a 40-foot container, and they held up. I had a dream that they disintegrated in the water. They do not disintegrate in the water. It was more of a nightmare, as you could imagine. They do not disintegrate in the water. They did great. In fact, I want to bring a 40-foot container down here to Tamarindo and get all these surf schools hooked up with brand new Surfboards.com soft tops. And so everybody who's having a good time out there surfing can see our logo and enjoy our products. I should probably do the same thing for Waikiki too. Lovely. I'm sure I'll have more thoughts as we travel. Pura vida.